Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to everyone joining us on this program. This is the Fountain of Israel Bible Studies program, and today we have a lot of ground to cover in light of recent news. So the title of today's lesson is God is in Control, and what we're really doing is we want to discern the signs of the time. When we want to discern the signs of the time. Now, when we get into the Bible, we're going to start in Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46. But we want to look at the signs of the time. And what I want to do is to read a few headlines of what's been going on over the last few weeks. That's what we want to look at. So, with that, I'm going to have Brother Daniel read some of these headlines. Just some of the things that are happening in our society over the last few weeks. Read that first headline, brother.
Controversial J-Helm military exercise opened in Texas.
Now, that opened in July 15th. Now, it's controversial because people are wondering what it's all about. Why these military exercises? Now, I saw I don't want to say a press release, but I saw a video where, of course, there's this Army commander explaining the J-Helm exercise. And he was just saying that we're getting ready for the next fight. And they're just doing it right here in our own backyard. Now, months ago, this was just stuff that people who wear tinfoil hats. This was just conspiracy. But July 15th, it's a reality. Okay. Now, is this some information for something bigger to come? We'll see. Time will tell. Moving forward, what's the next headline we have here?
Next headline is Christian seminary distribute condoms that talk of Christ's second coming.
Okay. Is this not crazy or what? Now, let me go ahead and reemphasize this. He said a Christian seminary distributes condoms that talk about Christ's second coming. Why? Why are these two things together? Okay? Why are these two things together? This was published on July 15th. What's the next thing that come down the pipe? What's the next headline? These are just headlines. We won't do the articles. We're just doing just the headlines. One was from End Time Headlines. Well, the first two was, and then we have another one here, and it's for NPR.org. What does that say right there? Supreme what?
Supreme Court declares same-sex marriage legal in all 50 states.
Now, we know that just happened just a couple of weeks ago. Same-sex marriage legal in all 50 states. Now, do you think any backlash is going to come from this? Do you think anyone's going to go to a church and cause a little trouble saying, hey, you have to marry us kind of thing? These are the times that we are living in, brothers and sisters. You have to understand that. Okay, that was published on the 26th of June. All right, now, they legalized same-sex marriage. Now, of course, according to the Bible, that is sin. In fact, it's an abomination. So me just saying that, just quoting the Bible, could be thought of as hate speech just from reading the Bible. But the Bible is not silent on the fact that the world or that society will take sin and make it a law. And it's perfectly fine. Let's take a look over at Psalms 94 and 20. Psalms 94 and 20 says this: shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law. That frames sin by a law. That makes iniquity a law. Isn't this not a quintessential example of sin being on a law? This is what we're dealing with today. Okay, we talked about the J-Helm a little bit. Start with that Vatican headline. What does that say?
Vatican signs first treaty with State of Palestine. Israel angered.
Israel didn't like that very much. But the Vatican signs the first treaty with State of Palestine. First treaty. Why is that significant? Why is that important? Well, because they're going to start Temple Institute. They're going to start growing. They've already started breeding red heifers and stuff. Starting to set up and start the sacrifices all over again. And that's what the Vatican has been doing throughout the centuries since they lost their powers. Since they lost their military might. They've been siding with these people and siding with these people. And just whichever serves them, that's what they're going to do. Okay? Another little headline. What's up? The SOTT exclusive. What's that headline there, brother?
Finnish police fired guns just 6 times in 2013.
Okay, now in Finland, the Finnish police, they fired their guns 6 times In 2013, finish that?
U.S. cops have killed over 500 people so far in 2015.
U.S. cops already killed over 500 people in 2015. And if you've been paying attention to the news, you've already seen this. Israel, I'm telling you, you have to wake up. You've got to wake up to what is going on. Okay? Let's read the next headline.
Greece will not pay IMF debt due Tuesday. Finance minister confirmed.
Okay, another one. That's from the AP. Okay, that's from the Associated Press. 6/30/2/15. Now, the Greece will not pay the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. They will not pay the debt due. Now, we know that Greece has already defaulted. Read that next headline.
Greece votes on bailout in biggest test yet for Euro.
Okay, so one minute they don't want it, they vote against. Next minute they vote for. They don't know what to do. They're just in a panic right now. Okay, Greece is in a fire sale right now of what's going on there. Greece news. Okay, read the next headline.
Between default and reform, the night and day option for the Greek economy.
Just more. Read that next one, sir.
Greece news. Brussels prepares to release emergency loan to get Greece through July, as it happened on the 17th of July 2015.
See, all these things are happening. This is recent news. And some people say, oh, well, that doesn't matter. Look, we've had a number of different collapses, and it's just coming our way. As soon as you think it cannot happen to you, then I know you have not been paying attention to what's been going on. It can happen to us. In fact, it will. It's just a matter of when. It's only a matter of when. Next headline.
EMP nuclear attack fears have U.S. reopen Cheyenne Mountain.
Okay, just look into that. Just look into that one there. Let's go to that next one.
Exercise Talisman February 2015. 30 nations watch as U.S., Australia, and Japan hold war game in the northern territory.
They're practicing for what is to come, brothers and sisters. Something is coming. They're not telling you, and they're getting ready. They are preparing themselves for it. That's news.com. That was published July 11th. Next headline.
Pope Francis calls for a new global political authority to save humanity.
One world authority. One world government. One world religion. It's all coming, brothers and sisters. Whether you believe it or not, it's all coming. Okay? Go ahead. Let's take a look at that next one.
Israeli Institute prepares priests for Jerusalem's third temple.
They prepares priests for Jerusalem's third temple, huh? So the third temple is coming. You know, the temple that God, talks about. So that's coming. They're getting prepared. They're getting ready. All these things are happening right under your nose. Nobody wants to pay attention. It's nothing. Oh, you one of those crazy guys, even though these are news headlines, but you're one of those crazy guys, where's your tinfoil hat? Okay, you don't want to believe anything's happening? No problem. What's the next headline? What does that say?
The movement to rebuild Jerusalem's third temple expands.
USnews.com. All these things happen now. If this is a portent or harbinger to things to come, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Now, with all that being said, with all that we've read, I want you to understand that God is in control. He truly is in control. See, because God does a number of things. One, He makes things happen. Two, He stops things from happening. Or three, He allows things to happen. Maybe He didn't do it, but He just allowed it. It's all a part of His plan. He's not surprised. He knows exactly what's going on. He's the one who set all these things up. Why? Because His plan will be fulfilled. He says, if I say it, will it not be done? It will be done. Let's go to Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46. And let's pick it up at verse 9. We got a lot of ground to cover, so let's take a look at this. Isaiah 46, verse 9. And when you get there, brother, go ahead and read.
Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else.
Yes.
I am God, and there is none like me.
Continue.
Declaring the end from the beginning.
That is the key. Because this is one of the things. This lesson here, this is the one that this will serve as your answer as to why you serve this God. Why do you serve the God of this Bible? This is your answer because of the things that you're going to learn here today. Because of this sentence that he just said, this guy is declaring the end from the beginning. No other God is like that. You don't get that in any other books. You don't get that in any other books that says, okay, this is how it began, this is how all going to end. And then you go into history and see all the things that he said was going to happen, written before it happened, and then you see it play out. That's why I serve this God. Because he makes good on his promises, good or bad. Declaring the end from the beginning. Go ahead, brother.
And from ancient times, things that are not yet done.
Yes.
Saying, my counsel shall stand.
Yes.
And I will do all my pleasure.
Continue.
Calling a ravenous bird from the east. A man that executeth my counsel from a far country.
Yes.
Yea, I have spoken it.
Yep.
I will also bring it to pass.
Yes, he will.
I have proposed it.
Yep.
And I will also do it.
That's how the Lord operates. If he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. Plain and simple. It doesn't matter if he says he's going to do something good, he's going to do something good. And if the Lord says he's going to do something bad, he's going to do something bad. Both cases, he's going to do it. You're in Isaiah, go to Isaiah 45. Just go back one chapter. Isaiah 45. Isaiah 45. We're going to get one real quick. This is what this God is all about. Isaiah 45. Pick it up at verse 7. Isaiah 45 and 7. When you get that, brother, go ahead and read it.
I form the light.
Yes.
And create darkness.
Yes, he did.
I make peace.
Yes.
And create evil.
Yes, he will create evil. Oh, I know. Oh, God. Oh, he doesn't create. Yeah, yes, he will. That's what he said. He will. He create evil. He create good. He create light, darkness. He does it all. Go ahead.
I, the Lord, do all these things.
Okay, so he said it. Okay? It's right there in your Bible. He said it. Let's go to Psalm 75, brothers and sisters. Go to Psalm 75. Now he said, I formed the light, he did, and I created darkness, he did. I make peace and I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Yahweh does all these things. Okay, so we're in Psalm 75. Psalm 75, and let's pick it up at verse 6. Now what we have to do is we have to get a proper understanding of who this God is. I said it once, I say it again. You're not going to understand what we are teaching. You're not going to understand this Bible if you're trying to filter it through tradition. If you're trying to filter it through Roman Catholicism, none of this makes sense. So you have to make a choice. Are you going to lay all that to the side, okay, and then let this information in? Because what are we doing? We're reading it from the Bible. We're giving it to you line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little, so you can get an understanding. Now, if you try to juxtapose that to your Roman Catholicism, they do not match. I dare say they may diametrically oppose one another because one says you can do this, the other says something completely different. So you're going to have to lay one down, okay, until you get this information in. Biblically, Psalm 75 and 6. Psalm 75 and 6. Go ahead, brother.
For promotion cometh neither from the east,
Yes.
nor from the west,
Yes.
nor from the south.
Where does it come from? Go ahead.
But God is the judge.
Uh-huh.
He putteth down one,
Yep.
and setteth up another.
All these kingdoms throughout all history, God will he'll bring a kingdom down and he'll raise a kingdom up. Why? To fulfill his purpose. Nothing shocks him or surprises him. Nothing. Let's go to John 19. Go to John 19. He said, promotions neither come from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but God is the judge. Go to John 19. He said, he put it down one and set it up another. So all these things are happening. Okay? He does it for his purpose. Some people, they hate Barack Obama. Okay, no problem. But he's there because God allowed it to be so. Plain and simple. He allowed it to be so. John 19. Let's pick it up at verse 10. John 19, verse 10. It's the Lord who sets all this up and gives power and authority. John 19 and 10. Go ahead, brother.
Then saith Pilate unto him,
Yes.
Speakest thou not unto me?
You don't want to see, this is when Pilate started questioning him. When he was taken in, Pilate started to question him. And he says, well, you don't want to talk to me? Because remember, he was silent. The Lord didn't really say anything or didn't say much. Go ahead. So he said, then said Pilate unto him, Speakest thou not unto me? Go ahead.
Knowest thou not that I have power to crucify crucify thee, and have power to release thee.
Yeah, I have power to deliver you up, to crucify you, to kill you, or I can release you. So you don't want to talk to me? Go ahead.
Jesus answered, thou couldst have no power at all against me.
Yep.
Except it were given thee from above.
So where did Pilate get his power from? Above. Go ahead.
Therefore, he that delivered me unto thee have the greater sin.
Okay, so the ones, you know what? He's basically saying, I don't have a big problem with you because I know your power comes from above. But the people who are in big trouble, who have the greater sin, are those who turn me in. They're the ones who did the greater sin. But the point of this is that he doesn't have any power unless God from above. And we're going to get into that, okay? Now let's start this before we get into Daniel and look at some of these things. Let's go to Jeremiah first, and then we'll go to Daniel. So let's look at this. Jeremiah 4. Go to Jeremiah 4. All this is a setup from God because he truly is in control. Now things could have went differently had Israel obeyed God and kept the covenant. But since they disobeyed, then God said, okay, I got a plan. I have a plan. And we're going to take a look at some of this in just a second. So Jeremiah 4, and when somebody get there, somebody say amen.
Amen.
All right, Jeremiah 4, and let's pick it up at verse 5. Jeremiah 4, 5. Go ahead.
Declare ye in Judah, and publish in Jerusalem.
He's basically saying, let everybody know. Go ahead.
And say, blow ye the trumpet in the land.
Yes.
Cry, gather together, and say, assemble yourselves, and let us go into the fenced cities.
Go ahead, brother.
Set up the standard toward Zion. Retire, stay not.
Yes.
For I will bring evil from the north.
Yes.
And a great destruction.
He's going to bring evil from the north. And guess what he was talking about at the time? See, Israel was about to fall. Okay, and so he said, I'm going to bring evil from the north. And he's talking about Nebuchadnezzar at the time. Okay, go ahead. He's going to bring evil from the north and a great destruction. Go ahead.
The lion has come up from his thicket.
Yes.
And the destroyer of the Gentiles is on the way.
Yes, he is. Go ahead.
He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate.
Yes.
And thy city shall be laid waste without an inhabitant.
And so he's basically letting them know. So now let's go to Daniel 2. So he's just letting them know the lion, because Babylon was described, the animal that represented Babylon was a lion. So he's just letting Israel know through the prophet Jeremiah, hey, look, bad things about to happen to you. You guys are about to get destroyed. You're about to go into captivity. Obviously, Israel, broke the covenant and went away from the Lord. So he just told you, hey, you're about to be in big trouble, basically. Okay, we know Daniel, the whole time Daniel was around, he was in captivity. He went in captivity. He was in captivity the whole time. Okay, and he was reading Jeremiah's writings. Excuse me. Daniel was reading Jeremiah's writings. Okay, so that's how we know this. So we're going to look at this in Daniel 2. As I said, let's take a look at this. And we're talking about kingdom, so we're going to jump throughout history. Okay, we're going to learn the signs of the times right now. Daniel 2, pick it up at verse 1, brother. Daniel 2, verse 1.
And in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed,
yes,
wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him.
Okay, he could not sleep because he was so up mentally, he was upset. Something was bothering him so much, he just could not sleep. Go ahead.
Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. And the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream.
Yes.
Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syriac, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation.
Okay, so he just said, hey, let us know what the dream is, and we'll tell you what the interpretation is. But here's a little plot twist right here. Go ahead, bro.
The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me.
He said, I forgot it. I can't even remember what the dream was. But go ahead.
If ye will not make known unto me the dream, the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made of a dunghill.
The record skipped on that. He's like, wait a minute, I forgot the dream. I don't remember what it was. But you're going to tell me what my dream was, and you're going to tell me the interpretation thereof. If you do not, you will be cut to pieces, and your home will be an outhouse. That's how serious it was. He really wanted to know. Let's skip to 16.
Then Daniel went in and desired the king that he would give him time.
Now they were panicking. They were like, "Hey man, the king, he's about to kill all of us, man. He's going crazy. He had this dream. We don't know what's going on." Daniel's like, "Whoa, what's going? Wait, what's going on? Why so hasty? Why is everybody panicking and stuff?" Because king, so he just told him what was going on. He said, then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him some time. He said, just give me a few time, give me a little bit of time. Let me figure out what's going on. Let me figure out what this dream is. Go ahead.
And that he would show the king the interpretation.
Yeah, if you give me some time, I will give you the interpretation. Go ahead.
Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions.
Yeah, modern Christianity today, we mainly call them Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but their Hebrew names was Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions. Go ahead.
That they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret.
Go ahead, brother.
That Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon.
Go ahead, brother.
Then was a secret revealed unto Daniel in the night vision.
Yes.
That Daniel blessed the God of heaven.
Okay, so we're going to skip down to 27, but he said the secret was revealed to him in a night vision. Okay, so that night God started telling him what that did. So basically Daniel saw the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, and then God also gave him the interpretation to take back to Nebuchadnezzar. 27.
Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king hath demanded cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers show unto the king.
Yes.
But there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days.
Nah, this is what's going to happen in the latter days, people. Okay? In the last, from the time he was telling him all the way up to the end of time, and we're going to see that all the way up until when Christ comes back. This is what he's talking about. He's going to go from that moment when he was interpreting all the way to the end. Okay? So a lot of ground will be covered. But notice that he gave God the credit. Okay? He said, but there's a God in heaven that revealeth secret. He didn't say, I'm a big shot, I know everything, I'm really smart. He didn't say all that. Okay? He didn't do all that. He said there's a God in heaven. If you got any knowledge whatsoever, you need to thank God. Okay? Don't puff up your chest. You don't know anything unless God reveals it to you. Okay? So we got to remember that kind of thing. But he said, but there is a God in heaven that revealeth secret and make it known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Continue, brother.
Thy dream, the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these.
So he said, give him the interpretation. Go ahead, brother.
As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed. What shall come to pass hereafter? And he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass.
Continue.
But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living.
See, I'm nobody special. This is Daniel. Now we know Daniel was closer to God than any of us in this room, anybody watching, anybody on the planet right now. We know Daniel was closer to God and knew more about what thus says the Lord than anybody living today. And look how humble he was. But we got a lot of brothers running around. They are so high and pious, they know everything. Okay? But look at someone who you know was very close to God. Why? Because God spoke to him. Why? Because angels spoke to him. Because he's seen this. Remember he saw Gabriel? Okay? So we got to understand that. Alright? So continue, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry, that's a side note, but sometimes I just get tired of the arrogance and the ignorance of Israel out there. Go ahead.
But for their sakes, that shall make known the interpretation to the king.
Go ahead.
And that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart.
Go ahead.
Thou, though, O king, sawest and behold a great image.
So he's telling him his dream first, and then he's going to interpret it. Go ahead.
This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible.
Yes.
The image's head was of fine gold.
Yes.
His breast and his arms of silver.
Yes.
His belly and his thighs of brass. His legs of iron. His feet part of iron and part of clay.
Continue, brother.
Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands.
Okay, this is Christ right there. That stone. He's that cornerstone, that chief cornerstone. Okay, but we're going to get into that. Go ahead.
Which smote the image upon his feet that were on the iron and clay. and break them to pieces.
Okay, now Christ is that cornerstone, and the reason why he struck at the feet is because that's the last kingdom, okay? Those 10 toes, that symbolizes the last 10 nations that will come together, and that also tells us that's the time when he's coming. See, Christ didn't come in the time of Babylon, the head of the statue. He didn't come in the time, well, you know what, I don't want to get ahead of myself. He's coming at the end, okay? So let's just go there. Go ahead, brother.
Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broke into pieces together and became like a chaff of the summer threshing floor.
Yes.
And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain,
Yes.
and filled the whole earth.
Okay, that stone, okay, that smoke, the image became a great mountain. Mountain symbolized kingdoms, okay, and filled the whole earth. That means that that particular kingdom that becomes a great mountain, that world ruling government, okay, it means that's exactly what it means. It filled the whole earth, okay, but that's Christ, but we'll get to that. Continue, brother.
This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king.
Okay, go ahead.
Thou, O king, art the king of kings, for a God of heaven had given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory.
Okay, so who gave Nebuchadnezzar this kingdom, power, strength, and glory? God. That's where he got it from. Now, Nebuchadnezzar was not a servant of God, like he, kept the law, statutes, and commandments or anything like that. No, but he was a pawn in this puzzle here. He was a pawn on this chess game, okay? In God's plan, he was a piece, okay? So, God gave him the kingdom, power, strength, and glory. Go ahead, brother.
And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven hath he given into thy hand.
Yes.
And hath made thee ruler over them all.
Yes, he did.
Thou art his head of gold.
So, we know Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon, right? So, he is the head of gold, okay? You get the interpretation yourself. Go ahead.
And after these shall rise another kingdom, inferior to thee.
Yes, go ahead.
And another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth.
Yes.
And a fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. For as much as iron breaketh into pieces, and subdueth all things, and iron that breaketh all these things, shall it break in pieces and bruise.
Okay, so what we're going to understand is this. We're going to skip down to 44, but we're going to understand something, that he's saying the successions of kingdoms, okay? Understand. It's going to be Babylon, and he said there's gold, and there's silver, then there's brass, and then there's iron and clay, okay? But this is the succession of kingdoms that go right after Babylon, then this next kingdom, then this next kingdom, then this next kingdom, and we'll let the Bible interpret itself. I could just tell you what it is, but we want to let the Bible interpret it. Go ahead, 44.
And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed.
Okay.
And the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
Yes.
But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. And it shall stand forever.
We're talking about God's kingdom. Go ahead.
For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter.
Yes, sir.
The dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure.
Okay, we're going to go to Daniel 7 so we can look at some of these things. Daniel 7. Now while you go to Daniel 7, I'm going to read a little bit about this Babylonian rule in history, okay? Now, this book, it's called The Last 2 Million Years, okay? Reader's Digest, it's called The Last 2 Million Years. So we want to go into history to see if the Bible, if history and the Bible, does it line up together? We're going to look at some of these things. We're going to learn a few things. Now, we know Nebuchadnezzar was king of Babylon. Okay? Now, a lot of people think that the Bible is a bunch of fairy tales, not real. But history should not talk about fairy tales. Okay? So you got to keep that in mind. Okay? So I'm in Last 2 Million Years, page 57. Okay? Fall of an Empire. Nineveh fell in about 612 BC after a joint attack by the Babylonians and the Medes. The Assyrian Empire was divided between the victors and the Babylonians under the leadership of probably Nebuchadnezzar. It's a history book. Talk about Nebuchadnezzar. Bible. Talk about Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? Took the region to the south and west. Under his rule, Babylon rose again more than 1,000 years after the age of the Hammurabi to become greater than ever. Okay. Skipping down, the Babylonians also studied the heavens, made star maps, observed the movements of the planets to which they gave names, and tried to predict eclipses of the sun and moon. The city of Babylon fell in about 539 BC, or fell in 539 BC to the Medes and Persians. This is the next kingdom to come. So the next kingdom after Babylon was the Medo-Persian Empire. Okay, but the Bible will say that as well. Okay, so it fell in 539 BC to the Medes and Persians because they were actually two different people. They just joined together. That's why they're the Medo-Persians, the Medes and Persians. Okay, their joint attack came while the Babylonian king Belshazzar, his son or grandson, Belshazzar, last of his line, was given a great feast. This is where he got the writing of the wall, and God said, "You're gonna die." We'll probably read that, which is vividly described by the prophet Daniel. Okay, vividly described. So, but we're gonna look at that. Okay, let me read a little bit more here. Belshazzar's command was a gesture of contempt towards the Jews whom Nebuchadnezzar had brought into captivity to Babylon. But while all this festivity and splendor was taking place in the king's palace, outside in the darkness, the forces of King Cyrus the Great of Persia had found a way to penetrate the city's apparently impregnable defenses. The Bible talked about that, and we're reading it in a history book.
Go figure.
Yeah. Thank you, sister. Yeah, go figure. How do we read something in the Bible and then we can go to history? And this is not the only place. You can find it anywhere. Okay, but we can go to history and we're talking about people, kings, that was real in history. Okay, I say that, I emphasize that because a lot of people, when the Bible is just made up stories, well, we should be talking about fairy tales in history. Okay, so let's look at this some more. Daniel 7 and 1. Let's look at this. Daniel 7 and 1. We just came out of the history book, so now we're going to go to Daniel 7. Pick it up at verse 1, brother.
In the first year of Belshazzar, the king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed.
Go ahead.
Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea, and the four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another.
Yes.
The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings.
Okay, that's Babylon. Go ahead.
And beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man.
That's Nebuchadnezzar that we're talking about. Go ahead.
And a man's heart was given to it.
Okay, verse 5. Go ahead, brother. And behold, another beast. Right after it says, last 2 million years, page 58, the very next one right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and behold.
And behold, another beast, a second like to the bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and it said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Okay, so we're talking about this second beast. Okay, so let's look at this second beast, which the Medes and the Persians. Okay, this is the Medo-Persian Empire. That's modern day Russia and Iran right now. Okay, names change throughout history, but right now that is Russia and Iran. The Medes are the Russians and the Persians are Iran of today. Okay, so let's look at this. I'm back in the last 2 million years, page 72. It says the Persian Empire rose like a freak tide in the 6th century BC. Okay, it just came out of nowhere. Like a freak tide in the 6th century BC, engulfing all the civilizations of Western Asia and creating one gigantic dominion. It was the greatest empire the world had yet seen. The imperial armies of Persia even attacked to crush the brilliant civilizations of Greece. Let me continue here. Okay. 74, Cyrus finds an empire. A great influx of Aryans from the region of the Caucasus Mountains, remember that? From the Caucasus Mountain occupied Persia about 1000 BC. Iran and the Persians' own name for their country means land of the Aryans. The Aryans established 2 rival kingdoms. The kingdom of the Medes, just south of the Caspian Sea in the area of Ecbatana, the modern Hamadan, and the kingdom of Persia, Persia.
to the east of the Persian Gulf. Persia suddenly expanded in the 6th century BC when Cyrus II, or Cyrus the Great of Persia, defeated the Medes and conquered Assyria. Asia Minor, Babylonia, the steppes of the Central Asia lands as far as India. In 546 BC, he united his conquests into a single empire. It became known as the Achaemenid Empire after the Achaemenids, an earlier king of the Persians from whom Cyrus traced his descendants. Let me continue a little bit more. When he conquered Babylon, Cyrus freed the 40,000 Jews who had been made captive by Nebuchadnezzar and allowed them to return to Jerusalem, where he helped them to rebuild the Temple of Solomon. The Old Testament book Ezra opens with an account of how God stirred the spirit of Cyrus to show favor to the chosen people. Okay, let's continue, brothers and sisters. We're looking at history and we're looking at the Bible. History and the Bible. Go ahead, brother. Verse 6, right under Medes and Persians.
After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of its 4 wings a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Okay, so we just got to 2 kingdoms. We had Babylonian kingdom. We talked about the Medes and Persia. Now we're going to this 3rd kingdom. Okay, now this 3rd kingdom, the leopard. Okay, and I want you, which had upon the back of his 4 wings a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominions was given to him. We want to look at that, okay? Because that actually means something. Okay, let's read this. Now, we know this leopard is the Greeks. Okay, the Greeks. We know the leopard is the Greeks. So let's look at this over in page 102 of the last 2 million, 103 of the last 2 million years. In about 350 BC, divided Greece found an unexpected solution to its problems. Macedonia, a rugged and mountainous area in northern Greece, was the home of a Greek-speaking people who were much less civilized than their neighbors to the south. They were tough highlanders and great fighters, whom Philip of Macedon, 382-336 BC, welded into the greatest military state in Greece. Philip was a great war leader and a fine statesman with deep respect for Greek culture. He chose the philosopher Aristotle to be the tutor of his young son, Alexander the Great, or Alexander the Greek. Philip's aim, like that of Pericles before him, was to unite Greece. Okay, let's go down to Alexander real quick. Now this is key, okay? Because it says that, and after this I beheld, lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon his back 4 wings of fowl. I'll tell you what that means. And the beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. We're going to read what that is right here. After freeing Ionia from Persian rule, Alexander and his armies swept on to occupy Syria and Phoenicia. Okay, Egypt was the next country to fall to the young conqueror, and Alexander was proclaimed pharaoh. His astoundingly successful 11-year campaign brought the whole Persian Empire, including lands as far afield as India, into Greek hands. Okay, well, we have to understand that is astounding because he didn't have any tanks and jets and planes. He couldn't get there fast like that. So in an 11-year span, in his young life, he conquered the known world in a very short period of time. That's why it describes it having wings of a fowl. He did it swiftly. He swept through lands and took over just like that. Okay, now we're going to get to the 4 heads. Okay, when Alexander died in about 323 BC at the age of only 32. Okay, of 32. Okay, the immense territories he had conquered were divided among his generals. 4 heads. When Alexander went down, his 4 generals took over. They wanted it all for themselves, but there's some infighting and everything, and then they just decided to settle on pieces of that kingdom. Okay? So it started with him, and then it came with Ptolemy and his other generals too. So Ptolemy secured Egypt for himself and his successors, while Antigonus seized a large portion of Asia Minor and founded a dynasty there. For the next 3 centuries, until the death of Cleopatra in about 30 BC, Greek culture spread throughout the east altered and transmuted by its contact with countries like Persia, Egypt, Syria, Judea. The old Greek world of city-states, each fiercely independent, was eclipsed by a wider world. Hellenism was a kind of universalism, and Greek became the dominant language in the Mediterranean area from Marseilles to Persia and beyond. Okay, and beyond. Let's continue. Okay, the Lord said what's going to happen. This kingdom's going to rule, then after that, this kingdom's going to rule, and after that, this kingdom's going to rule, and we find that to be true. So if the Lord says this, said something, and you see it happen, if he says something that's going to happen in the future, are you inclined to believe it? That's what we have to concern ourselves with. Where are we, brother? Verse 7?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast,
Yes.
and dreadful and terrible,
Yes.
and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it.
Yes.
And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns.
Go ahead, brother.
I considered the horns, and behold, there came among them another little horn,
Yes.
before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Yes.
And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things.
Okay, let's pause that for a second. Okay, now what we have to understand, mountains, that means kingdoms. Okay, mountains is symbols for like kingdoms. Now he also when he gave these particular dynasties, because this is a Gentile dynasty. This is what you're seeing. This is what you're seeing play out. Okay, you're watching Babylonian rule, then you're watching Medo-Persian rule, and you're watching Greek rule. Now we're going to get into Roman rule. Okay, now when he says here, now horns, that's a sign of a leadership, a king. Okay, someone of influence. Okay, could be an emperor, could be a king, could be a pope. Okay, so this is what we're going to look at. He said, I considered the horns, and behold, 3 came up among them, another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and spoke great things, speaking great things. Now, those 3 that were plucked up in history, we don't talk about them anymore. And that's the Ostrogoths, the Vandals, and Heruli. That's where we get the word vandalism. Okay, because the way their war tactics, they came in and they just ransacked and destroyed in the face everything when they came to conquer. But these guys are pretty much plucked up out of history. We don't hear about the Heruli and the Vandals and the Ostrogoths. Okay? So that's one of the things we have to look at. And go ahead and read verse 9, brother.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow,
Yes.
and the hair of his head was like a pure wool.
Oh, his hair texture was like pulled wool. That's a side note. Go ahead.
His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire.
Okay, we're going to go. We're in Daniel 7, or let's see what we are. Yeah, Daniel 7. We're going to go to 17 in just a second. But let's get a little bit of this fourth beast, okay? He didn't give an animal like a likeness. He didn't say a bear or a leopard. And coincidentally, the Medes, we say they're Russian. What's the animal symbol for Russia right now? It's a bear, okay? Same thing with Greece. It's a leopard, okay? Same thing, like America is an eagle. Same thing, all right? This is how the Lord calls the end from the beginning. But let's look at Rome a little bit. Shadow of Rome, page 105 in the last 2 million years. The great struggle between Rome and Carthage, which dominated the West Mediterranean during much of the Hellenistic age, came to an end. In 146 BC, with a total victory for the Romans. I'm skipping. Mainland Greece soon became a Roman protectorate, and during the 1st century BC, Rome gradually absorbed Asia Minor, Syria, Judea, and nearly all the remnants of Alexander's Eastern Empire. So they absorbed all of that, all the territory that Alexander conquered. Rome had it now. Alexander's Eastern Empire. Culturally, however, it was the Romans who were absorbed, because that's what they do. They take the cultures of other people and they just absorb it into whatever it is that they do. Let's look at Rome a little bit more. The reason why that the Lord didn't give an animal description of Rome, because it was different from the 3 other dynasties. And the difference is because these other dynasties, they ruled only by might, okay? By military force. That's how they rule. That was the only way. But Rome, they ruled two ways. They ruled by force and might and military and spiritually. They took over religion as well. They packaged it up and handed it to us and call it Roman Catholicism. Holy Roman Catholicism. We'll look at that in history. Let's look at this a little bit more. Rome. The Romans dominated the ancient world for almost 500 years. In the heyday of their empire, they controlled an area that extended from the Atlantic coastline of Spain in the west to the shores of the Caspian Sea in the east, for the misty forests of Britain in the north, to the sun-baked deserts of Egypt in the south. Yep, they went all the way to Egypt. When they conquered the world of ancient Greece, the Romans absorbed the best of Greek culture and passed on its legacy of art, architecture, science, and philosophy to the Western world. So you have to understand, why do we do the things we do? Why do we think the way we think? Because it's passed on. Okay? What is so remarkable is that this spectacular world power grew out of the vigor and determination of the inhabitants of a single city. It was in 753 BC, according to tradition. Rome was founded on 7 small hills by the banks of the river Tiber. Doesn't the Bible describe a particular power that is on 7 hills or 7 mountains? Interesting. But another 800 years were passed because it became the center of the largest empire the world had ever known, embracing at its peak 100 million people. Skipping down, the drive, let's see here, yet it was the challenge of those early times that gave the Romans the drive and energy to win control of most of the civilized world. Skipping down, Romans of a later day looked back in pride on their origins and saw themselves as race descended from heroes. All the Romans are heroes. Isn't that the depiction today? All the heroes you see, they're all Roman. They all happen to be Roman. Let's continue. From the east, the Visigoths raided the Balkans, invaded and ravaged Italy, and set up kingdoms in South France and Spain. The Ostrogoths settled in Italy. The Vandals crossed the Rhine, the Pyrenees and Spain, and founded a kingdom in the North Africa, from which in 455, like the Ostrogoths before them, they descended on Rome and sacked it. Okay, but then Rome later took care of them. Okay, let's see what else we have here to read. A couple things we want to look at. Okay, Daniel 7. Pick it up at 17, brother. Daniel 7:17.
These great beasts, which are 4, and 4 kings,
Go ahead.
which shall arise out of the earth.
Yes.
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever.
So we know right there, all the way to the end, the saints of the Most High will possess the kingdom forever and ever. Go ahead, brother.
Even forever and ever.
Go ahead.
Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet.
Yes.
And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell.
Those are the 3 that I told you about. The Vandals, the Huruli. Go ahead.
Even of the horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake of very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows.
Go ahead.
And beheld, the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them.
Okay, so that's what's going to happen in the end times, brothers and sisters. The saints, this last empire, that means this Roman Empire has to rise again in power. Okay, remember he suffered a daily wound over about 1700s. About 746. Okay, AD. Suffered a daily wound, meaning he had no more military might, and then later Mussolini gave him the Vatican City. Okay, so that wound was healed. Now, he didn't have any military might, but he still has spiritual power. Does Rome still have an influence in religion today, brothers and sisters? Yeah. Okay, so he doesn't have the military part yet, but he still has the spiritual part. Okay, go ahead, brother. Did we finish that? Rebelled against him. Daniel 5. Let's go to Daniel 5. Let's go to Daniel 5. We're going to look at something else here. And we're going to pick it up at verse 22. Daniel 5, verse 22. When you get there, brother, go ahead and read.
And thou his son, O Belshazzar, has not humbled thy heart.
This is the son of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, after Nebuchadnezzar died, his son took over. Go ahead.
Though thou knewest all this,
Yes.
but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee.
Yes.
And thou, and thy lords, and thy wives, and thy concubines, have drunk wine in them.
Yes.
And thou hast praised the gods of silver, and gold, and of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know. And the God in whose hand thy breath is.
Yeah, God, your breath is in the Lord's hand. And you're blaspheming against him and disrespecting his goodly things. See, Belshazzar, earlier, if we read earlier, he was throwing this big festival. And we were reading that in the last 2 million years. He's throwing this big festival. Okay, now his father, Nebuchadnezzar, took the holy things of Israel, all these holy things, the relics and all these things, he had them put away in a separate room. Just put them away. He didn't disrespect them. But no! Belshazzar said, bring that out, bring that out. Let's put some wine in these cups and all that and want to party. Okay? And then he saw the writing on the wall and he got scared. So that, as we would say today, that blew his buzz at that time. Okay? So let's take a look, continue that, brother. So, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, continue.
And whose are all thy ways hast thou not glorified.
You gave him no respect. You don't glorify this. Go ahead.
Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written.
Yes.
And this is the writing that was written. Mene, Tekel, and Upharsin.
Okay.
This is interpretation of the thing.
Okay.
Mene, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it.
Oh boy, bad news. Go ahead.
Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting.
That means you come up short. Go ahead.
Perez, the kingdom is divided.
Yes.
And given to the Medes and Persians.
So what's the kingdom that was coming after Babylon? The Medes and the Persians. And what do we find in history? Who took over the Babylon? The Medes and the Persians. Go ahead, brother.
Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made him a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar the king of the Chaldeans slain.
Yeah, so he wanted to butter up Daniel and give him gold and all this. And hey, he's the third man in the kingdom. You guys listen to him. He's in charge, okay? He's the third guy. He thought that was going to get him off the hook, so to speak. It didn't. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. Another word, for the Babylons. He was slain. Go ahead, 31.
And Darius, the Median, took the kingdom, being about 62 years old.
Okay, so he was 32 years old. 62, I'm sorry, 62 years old, and he took over that kingdom. Okay? Remember when we read history, he was waiting outside, they were just finding out how to penetrate. They figured it out too. They got in there, killed him. Belshazzar, done. Okay? Go to Daniel 8, brothers and sisters. As a matter of fact, thank you, brother. Matter of fact, we're going to look at a little bit here, and then we're going to wrap it up for part 1. Daniel 8, pick it up at verse 1. We'll read a couple of scriptures, and then we'll continue for part 2 of this lesson. Daniel 8, verse 1. Daniel 8 and 1 is the last place we're going to visit. When you get there, brother, go ahead and read. Now, remember, guys, that the Bible, or especially, Daniel, all these books are not in chronological order, okay? So go ahead and Daniel 8 and 1. Go ahead.
In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass, when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up my eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before a river a ram, which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high. but one was higher than the other.
Yes.
And the higher came up last.
Yes. Now we're still talking. The ram it still symbolizes the Medes and the Persians. We're still talking about the Medes and the Persians, and you'll see that. Okay. But God does make a transition when He changes what's happening. But He's using these as symbols. Okay. Go ahead.
I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward.
The reason why He saw the ram pushing westward and northwards and southward and didn't mention eastward, because He was already in the east. And He was pushing in those other directions, meaning taking over in those other directions. Go ahead, brother.
And no beast might stand before Him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of His hand.
Yes.
But He did according to His will and become great.
And became great. Go ahead, brother.
And I was considering, behold, a he-goat came from the west of the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. The goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
Okay, now the reason why that goat came and touched not the ground, He said He was moving quickly. Okay, this is Alexander again. Okay, He was moving quickly. He was conquering and taking over really, really fast. Verse 6.
And he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran into him in the fury of his power.
Yes.
And I saw him come closer to the ram, and he was moved with the shoulder against him, and smote the ram, and to break his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him.
Okay, so the Medes and the Persians, they could not stand up to the Greek army. They just couldn't do it. They had no power to do it. Alexander took over pretty easily. Go ahead, brother.
But he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand.
Go ahead, brother.
Therefore the he-goat waxed very great.
Alexander the Great, go ahead.
And when he was strong, the great horn was broken.
And what happened?
And for it came upon the notable ones towards the four winds of heaven.
Yeah, and his four generals took over when it was broken. Okay? Now this is part one of God is in control. We are discerning the times that we are living in. Join us for the next part of this program, which will be God is in control, part 2. And until next time, as always, we sign off by saying, search the scriptures and prove all things.